Anyway, that's it. Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Going? Yeah, I'll go on. Yeah, I'm gonna stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. December 20th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. for Mitchell County Supervisor Board meeting at the Mitchell County Courthouse. We have an agenda in front of us. Everyone's had a chance to read the agenda. Need a motion and a second.
Move to approve the agenda.
Steve made a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Jim seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item 2, approve the minutes of the December 13th meeting. Need a motion and a second for that also.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mark's made a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Todd has seconded it. Any discussion on this?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Okay. Item 3, county attorney general discussion.
Well, I'm
Morning.
here, you've got a lot on your agenda, and I might even be asked questions, so I don't necessarily have anything to say now unless somebody wants to ask me something, and then
Okay.
I'm just wondering if the board got your letter, your email to,
What's that?
you sent an email to everybody. I just want to know if the board got all that, received that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, I'm here, but I'll probably just shut up so you can get on with it.
Okay. Item 4, sheriff update.
I guess I'll reflect what Aaron just said. I don't have anything new for this week, from last week, so if you have questions for me or anybody here does, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll sit here and listen.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Good luck in the next few days.
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, but we'll get through it.
Okay. Item 5 then, department head discussion.
I got 2 things. I'll send the agenda out Wednesday since we're closed Friday and Monday. And then if you guys saw my email, the mayor of Riceville resigned again. They're planning to publish and appoint that way versus having a special election.
Okay.
We received a Zoom request in regards to the cupola problem. I was wondering if there's any of the board members are going to attend that Zoom meeting?
I am.
Okay.
I am attending.
Okay. Very good.
Was there any more about the sheriff taking care of Riceville? Is there anything?
I can add to that. So a city council person sent me a text message, said Riceville decided to sign a 20-hour-a-week contract with Howard County.
Okay.
So my question to you then, when they call us because they don't have anybody available or out of the position or whatever they say when they call us, do you want me to send a bill to the city of Riceville, to the Howard County Sheriff's Office, or just go handle the call?
Well, if it's in Mitchell County, if it's on our side, you probably should handle it,
They're contracted for the whole city.
Well, they are for
20 hours
the
a
whole
week.
city. Well,
I've never sent them a bill. However, it's kind of easy sometimes for them not to be in a position to handle a call, and they call us to handle it. We don't say no, we go. Something to think about, I guess. Don't need to
Well,
give me an answer today, but
what's county attorney think?
I would, and I understand what the sheriff's saying, I was thinking the same thing, so I kind of chuckled. It's awful easy sometimes for people to just not be available when they know somebody else is.
yeah,
I don't see any issue with probably billing the city of Riceville, quite honestly.
Okay.
If they don't pay, then we'll have to address that separately, I guess, but I'm not saying anything negative about anybody, because I think it's just human nature. I think if they gotta come 22 miles or however far it is, it might be kind of easy to for them to not go and to call our sheriff. So I think the sheriff got a good idea there, I guess, I think.
Sheriff would kind of depend on what the call is as compared to a barking dog, compared to a traffic accident. I mean.
Well, I guess I'm not gonna.
Billing, I'm just saying,
Right.
as far as if you go,
Yeah, so car crashes, obviously, we're gonna go, and a barking dog at 3 AM, if I don't have somebody out, I'm not calling somebody out to go to Riceville and handle it. It's just not gonna do it. So,
Do you ever go across?
I'll take care of it. What's that?
Do you ever go across the county line to deal with things?
In an emergency, if they need help, we're gonna go and help.
Yeah.
There's not enough of us around not to do that.
Correct.
Absolutely, and they'll come and help us in times of emergency. But there's occasions, we had 60-some calls for service that we handled during their previous contract year.
Okay.
And many times they didn't have somebody close, they were in Cresco, well, maybe I don't either, but you still have to go, so.
Yeah. No.
I'll take care of it. If you get an email or something from a council person wondering why, that's probably what it's gonna be, billing for a call for service.
Okay,
sounds good.
thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, move on to county engineer update. And Rich is not here. I don't know if he's online.
He was
He's-
sick.
Yeah, I know he's sick. Okay, he didn't know if he'd be on.
I don't.
See him?
I
He said he might be, but
Well, if he's sick, I'm sure
Yeah, he's not here.
he doesn't want to be here
Or no?
or talk here.
Yeah, he wasn't sure. Okay. Then we're going to item 7, ballot update. Go ahead.
Come on up here, have a seat.
Outstanding.
Okay.
My name's Brian Lynch. I work at Valen Biosciences. I'm the facility manager and the sustainability manager. And I was talking recently with Jim about adopt a highway. We wanted to adopt a highway on Orchard and then 350th around our solar field and our plant. I'm from Charles City and I know they had that there. And Jim said, you didn't have one in Mitchell County. So he got it set up. The board approved it. I sent it through our legal. I'll get with the engineer at the beginning of the year and go over the plan. Well, anyway, I was thinking about it as I was emailing Jim, and like I said, I'm from Charles City, Floyd County, and I worked at a pharmaceutical company down there. We didn't really interact with the county very much down there, actually very little. And I asked Jim, I said, maybe I can give an update because we have a good relationship here, just like we do with the city of Osage. And then we're doing a bunch of things at the site. So I only take 5 minutes, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I have a few of these little handouts here. If anybody wants to look at them afterwards, go ahead. I also gave the supervisors our sustainability report for our corporation, which sustainability is, clean energy, doing the right things, taking care of the environment, being nice to people and the community. So it's a big thing for our company. If you guys want to pass those around, if you're done with them, feel free. If anybody wants one, they can come out to our plant, I'll give them one. So the first slide, I kind of just named it partnership with Mitchell County, and I have a few points here that was just from 2022. So the Board of Supervisors approved our tax rebate for a total of $650,000 over the next 10 years. So it's a rebate, we pay it, and then we get back 20%, or you guys keep 20, we get 80% back. I believe that's how it worked. Great program. This is all for our $34 million expansion, which I'll get to in just a minute. And then the Board of Supervisors also approved the IEDA, which is the Iowa Economic Development Association's sales tax rebate for us, which came out to $1.1 million. So I appreciate that to everybody on the board for approving that. We've got our 12-acre solar field up and running. We had to go through rezoning and reclassification, get that approved by the county. That all got taken care of very smoothly. I appreciate all of that. Then we planted our 37 acres of natural prairie. We're calling it prairie reconstruction because that means we're going to put it back into prairie because it was farmed. So it's not, I use some terminology deal. But anyway, we got that submitted under the SLU bill. and the prairie should look really nice next year. Mitchell County Conservation helped us get all that planted. We had to plant a little bit more this year, but I appreciate everybody's help on that. Mitchell County Conservation, they've helped. Adopt a Highway program, thanks Jim and the supervisors for approving that. Kind of, we want to make everything look good. We're gonna mow the ditch in front of our solar field on Orchard Blacktop. And I'll talk to the county engineer about that. And then, one thing, just because Steve's leaving, over the last 5 years, Valen has taken over operation of the Mitchell County pretreatment plant. And Steve was the representative, so thank you, Steve, and all you on the board for the support. That's kind of a good feather in our hat, and with the city and the county, no odors, everything's working well out there. That's a good thing. And then the last thing on this slide is, we're gonna have a big dedication of our sustainability projects next year in June. So I'm gonna need help again. I'm not afraid to ask for help, but we're gonna dedicate our prairie and the solar field. And then we've never given tours of our facility before. When we started up, it was chaotic, and then we were gonna do it in 2020. COVID hit, that's been off the board. So we're gonna give tours to everybody in Mitchell County who's ever interested. And we're gonna have a big tent put out. The cattlemen are gonna cook hamburgers. I think they're getting somebody to cook brats too. So feeding for anybody that wants to come. Tentatively, it's the 24th of June. It may change, but it's gonna be in June at some time. And we'll publicize that and put it in the paper, Facebook pages, or whatever, so that you guys all can come. We're gonna invite the governor and maybe Grassley will come, and definitely the local politicians. We'll have some VIPs here from Japan and probably a couple speeches, but bear with us. Should be a good time. The next pictures, which, maybe if you guys just want to pass these out or show them to each other. Sorry, I only brought a few of them. We're doing our $34 million expansion, and everybody knows what the weather's doing. We're putting the roof on our front admin area today and tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow. We're trying to get it weather tight. We got the heaters ready. We've got the lights in there, but in that front addition, if you drive by, we're gonna have some more office space, and then an R&D area, vector maintenance welding area, and some other type test equipment will be in there also. It's a pretty big expansion. Total, it's like 20,000 square feet, but on the east side of our plant, we're putting a 3-story addition on, which I'm glad I don't do construction, because the steel, I saw it arriving today. So they're planning on doing that in January, 3 stories of steel going up. That's gonna give us room for 4 more fermenters, and we poured enough footings where we can put another addition on and do 4 more fermenters. I'll probably be retired by then, but, so thank you for giving us all the tax breaks for this. We're gonna try to keep Osage a viable community, hiring more people. So that's kind of exciting. There's a picture of what it looks like in the front. We don't have the siding that matches our front office area, so that's why there's no siding on the front. It's pretty large inside there. There's a picture that I took inside of the building. It always looks smaller when you pour the footings, but it's nice now. I'm excited about it. I'm glad they got it sealed up, because tomorrow's gonna be not a good day. So then, our solar field, which was a joint project between Heartland Energy and One Energy, built it for us. So it's online right now. We're running it at about 60% capacity. I guess that's how they bring solar fields up, is they test it slowly. We're gonna go to 75% capacity today. But it's a 2 megawatts solar field. It's on 12 acres. I didn't write that down. I'm pretty sure it would power 425 average homes in Iowa for a year. It's about 8% of our annual energy use, so that was a good project. And then the last thing is, if you know where our plant is, if you go directly east of there, we have a field there. We bought it 78 acres when we built the plant. Well, we've taken it all out of farm ground, put it into a pollinator and monarch mix, a lot of flowers, a lot of milkweed. And we're working with Iowa State Engineering Department. They're gonna help us lay out good walking paths with educational stuff. The school district has signed on, and they're gonna help us lay that out so that they can use it for educational purposes. But it's kind of just a little representative. We'll have like a little loop out there. It'll be open to the public. Anybody can use it. So next spring, we'll have that all ready to go. But again, thanks for letting me speak. I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on. Drive by, you'll see the construction. Does anybody have any questions for me or on Balin? All right.
Want to come again sometime to talk with us in the future again?
Yeah,
Another
let's
update?
do it in the spring because we're in the planning stages right now of getting this big event going. And I want to we want people to come. And so if nobody knows about it, we buy 3,000 hamburgers. We might all eat hamburgers for a while. Hopefully the weather's good, but yeah, I'll come back and give you an update on the adopted highway. We'll do that twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And then give you some more info on our dedication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Are you able to get enough employees all the time?
I think we have like 7 positions open right now. It's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes we put a position out and we get the ideal candidate with a week. And then other ones have been posted for, a year. Most of them are like engineers or biochemists.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of those in Mitchell County.
No.
So when we get one, we try hard and we get a lot of support. Clover helps us out and other people to try to find them housing. It's probably the biggest struggle. And if they have kids, daycares, if they don't know anybody here, it's hard to raise a family when it's not daycare, so.
You have a lot of turnover in the plant itself.
Turnover actually in the production area, the hourly workers and maintenance department is very low. It's all the recent grads. We normally get younger engineers or chemists or biochemists, and it's their first job. And, I get it. They gotta get their resume to look good. Then they live in rural Iowa for 2 years. They're like, I'm out of here. They're single, which is fine. That's just the way it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, item 8, discussion and possible action on Mitchell County Soil and Water Conservation District for your 2024 request.
I think, Milt, you're up.
Got here just in time. I don't know whether my other folks are here yet. I don't see them in the audience, but I'll go ahead. I'm here representing the Soil and Water Conservation District. I told them about 9 o'clock, so I wasn't sure how fast the agenda was gonna go, but I'm here. It's cold out there. I was gonna I will introduce them. They're not here yet, but you'll meet them eventually. Want to introduce a couple of our newest staff members to the Soil and Water Conservation District and welcome them on board. Just wanted to give you an update quick. And one of those gentlemen will be presenting our information about water sampling coming up for next year. So when he gets here, we'll have to let him come in and present because I don't have that information. But what I would like to report is that you may recall that we've been working to establish a water quality coordinator position in the Soil and Water District office. And I report that we've made some significant progress on that. We've received a grant from Iowa Department of Agriculture to fund over half of that position, and the Soil and District Commissioners have put in a pledge of our local funds to get that position started. And if he were here, I'd introduce Mike Webb. Mike comes to us with a lot of experience. Mike just recently retired from Sarasota County Conservation Board as their director. He's coming over to fill that position on a part-time basis. He'll be able to, with enough funding to work about 3 days a week. So he's up and going. He started about a month ago, comes to us with a lot of experience. He'll be working countywide to coordinate water quality efforts, promote things like CRP program is gonna be a big priority for him. Cover crops, bioreactors, all those typical practices. He'll be working countywide along with the other staff there to promote all those practices. So we're really excited to welcome Mike on board. And our second position that I wanted to introduce is Devin Storts. Devin is a young man that comes to us from Highlandville. He also has a lot of experience. He is our newest Rock Creek Watershed Coordinator. And his focus continues to be in the Rock Creek watershed area, where I've reported on that several times in the past, but we've made really good progress. And Devin, when he gets here, maybe later we can slip in somewhere and he can give you an update on that. Plus talk about our funding request for water sampling for this next fiscal year. We're sampling 23 locations currently. We're gonna shift a few of those around a little bit. He'll talk about that a little bit, some of the accomplishments that we've been able to make in the Rock Creek watershed. So with that, I'll give you that report for right now. But we're really excited to get Mike Webb on staff, and Devin also. Devin's brand new to the position also. So we're really excited to get those things going. We're making some progress there. So if you have contact with ag producers, farmers that are interested, express any interest in any of those programs, make sure they get out to the office out there, contact one of those fellows, and they can help you out. So we'll try and slip in later if we can slip in sometime that works. I apologize for telling those guys to be here too late. I thought maybe it'd be about 9 o'clock or so. Thanks.
I guess we can go back to it. That's what we'll do.
We have the public comment.
Okay, and the public on the end. Okay, all right.
We can go to environmental health next.
Okay, environment,
Well, no,
that's what
Okay.
we're
our
on.
director is here.
Yeah.
Conservation.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, just wanted to take a quick moment and introduce myself, Mike Miner. I'm the new executive director for the Butler County Conservation Board. Started, I think 10, 11 days ago now, so we're hitting the ground running. Last 10 and a half years, I've been the executive director for the Butler County Conservation Board. Took this opportunity to move. I'm originally from Howard County. This allows my family and I to move closer to home. A little bit personally about me, married my high school sweetheart. We've been together too long to count. 22 years. I know a lot of you probably got that beat. We got 3 kids. Got an 8th grader, 6th grader, and a 5th grader. We'll be moving up here January. My oldest boy and I will be moving up here. He'll start school in January here in Osage. And then the 2 younger ones and my wife will be moving up here sometime in the spring or summer. She's a teacher at Waverly Shell Rock, so she'll be moving up here looking for a school district to start working for type thing. And then when she gets up here, she'll bring the younger 2 with her. And a little bit about me, big into outdoorsman. I like hunting, I like getting outdoors and hiking. My family and I, we farm, so I do balance that tightrope of the agricultural and the conservation side. It is a working partnership that can be done. It's pretty easy to do, so I'm excited to work here in Mitchell County. Bring a lot of experience with the last 10 years at Butler County. Before that, I was Park and Rec Director. Prior to that, I worked as in the Parks Field down in the city of Cedar Falls, and before that, I was seasonal employee over at Howard County Conservation. So 20-some years of experience. A lot going on out there with Mitchell County. They got a great program out there, so looking forward to taking over that. I'll be in the office, got a phone number if you ever want to reach out, speak with me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm kind of excited. As for a quick little update on the Conservation Board, we're hitting the ground running. We're running into budget time as everybody else in the courthouse and county knows that's happening. We are looking at everything with mitigation. We got the dam project coming on and then the water trail project coming on. So a lot of grant money has already been awarded to the county. So just looking forward to managing those. A lot of that money's coming back to the county, which is great to see that happen. So if anybody's got specific questions, I can answer them.
The wetlands project at the county home is complete.
Yeah, we haven't signed off fully on the contract with Cole Excavating. We've got some stuff that we need to work out before we'll sign off on that project, but we're working through those issues. And once we get that solved, then we'll be signing off on that project. Of course, it's never fully complete. We still have to get, you got to get vegetation on the system as well. So that's not going to happen until summer when the spring gets warmer. Then we also need to put in the monitoring wells, which you won't do till next spring anyway. So, but for the most part, where we need to be at this point, we're not satisfied, but we're getting closer to being done complete type thing. That's the best way to put it.
Can you sell credits yet?
We can, we have 4 credits that we are allowed to sell at this point in time. We just had last week, one of the municipalities in Iowa has reached out asking for pricing, which I'll be providing them pricing today. Due to the fact this is a public format, I'm not gonna announce what that is, just due to the fact that other banks are trying to bid on it, so we're not gonna spread that on. But yeah, we've got 4 credits right now. Once certain points are hit in the contract or certain things are done for our completion project, then more points are released. We'll have a total of 28 points available when it's all said and done. So it'll be an ongoing process, but it'll be definitely something for the benefit of the county in the long term. It's just gonna take time to get there. Other questions?
Those credits ever expired?
No, you've got them until you sell them type thing. And the biggest thing is the soil type that we have out there is one of those that's always needed. So realistically, from my understanding, is that it should be within, 5 to 10 years, they should all be sold. But you gotta, it takes time. The more projects that are happening within our watershed and neighboring watersheds that need those type of soil types, of course, they could go quicker. But what we've been told is, anywhere between 5 to 10 years, they should be sold. The hope is sooner. I mean, that's what we all want.
Yes.
So, but
I had a call from a farmer concerning some tile lines out there. I don't know, has that been resolved?
Yep, we're getting that resolved and stuff. So we've got our engineer looking at the, everything from the slope and everything like that. It will get resolved. It's not resolved right now, but we are working with them, and I've spoke to at least one of the neighboring farmers about the tile, so they are aware.
Probably
Yep.
someone maybe.
Yep, we're getting it resolved. I understand. It's not where we want it. It's not where it's gonna be done. It's gonna get resolved, is the best way to put it.
Told him I thought you'd.
Yep.
Take care of it.
Well, I look forward to working with everybody. I'm taking time to try to reach out and meet with individuals one-on-one as fast as I can, but holiday season runs into a bump on trying to get that done, so thanks. Look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one. I'm gonna step out. I got another meeting, so thanks, everybody.
Thank
Good luck.
Environmental health update.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna pass this around. This is just a copy that I made. I'll be talking about it later, but it's, just for everybody to look at, so you can pass that around. All right, so to start off, let me get myself situated here. I'm just gonna kind of do like a yearly update. I've given you guys monthly updates for a while now, but I'm just gonna kind of go over the entire year of 2022 and what my department's accomplished this year. So we'll start with wells and water testing. Since January 1st, 8 new wells have been drilled in the county from 2 different certified contractors through the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. 140 water tests have been conducted since January 1st, which is a lot higher than the previous full year that I looked at. So we're about 40 higher, so roughly we're averaging 100 water tests per year, so we're actually way higher than normal. And 11 wells have been plugged in the county this year. So that paper that is being passed around, that goes with water tests, it was brought up at the Board of Health meeting to promote the water testing as much as possible, because we do get reimbursements through the Grants to County program for the water test itself. So the money comes back to the county regardless. So those are postcards that it's just a proof, an example of what those would possibly look like. They would get sent out to everybody in the county who has a private well. So we would have to order quite a bit of them, and it would take a little bit of time to get them sent out. I'd probably do it 2 townships at a time. And I'm working, thank you. I worked with Amy up in the assessor's office to, she provided you guys a list, or I think Jim, she provided you a list earlier this year on everybody in the rural area of the county and everybody that, because she's the only one that can pull that tax information without it taking 5 years to be able to get. So I asked her if she could pull me a query for that, and she's already provided that for me. So I think that'll be a great thing to do. This year it was a great idea, actually suggested by Jessica Hilton. So props to her for giving me that idea of possibly doing postcards this year. Septic systems. We started something new this year. We had a contractor license through Mitchell County. It was a great idea. We had 16 total contractors that were certified through the county to install systems, which is really high for our county, which is awesome, because other counties are actually reaching out to our county contractors to try and pull them into our neighboring counties to get them to install, because we have so many. 9 out of those 16 were certified through the state. So that was one of the big discussion points on, you know, how are we gonna do this when it comes to pricing? Are we gonna make it free for the people who are certified? And we ended up doing that. 9 out of the 16 were. So that was something that I found really interesting, and I thought it was pretty beneficial. Something else that was not necessarily supposed to be new, but was new, were the site evaluations that were happening when septic systems went into the ground. I think it was not only a huge change for the contractors, but it was a huge change just for the homeowners to be on site and witnessing exactly what is going on, what's actually gonna take place. And I think it was really beneficial to have all parties involved, and it was a huge help. Everything went a lot smoother this year. That also comes with me being a little more experienced as well, but everything went really smooth with those site evaluations, and the contractors adjusted really, really well. So I gotta give them props for that too. There were 36 installs for the year. 25 of those were house systems and 11 of those were shop systems. But 56 applications were filed out in entirety for septic systems this year. And some of those are gonna be installed next year. I'm keeping those applications. I've already reached out to the homeowners or to the business owners on those systems, because contractors, even though we have more in our county than other counties do, everybody's just so behind. Everybody's just booked up. So the availability for them was just really hard to be able to get all of those systems in the ground. But 9 of those applications that we're still waiting on were the applications for the IFA grant. And so I reported on this previously, but all 9 of our applications through Mitchell County were approved through the Iowa Finance Authority, which means that we're bringing in $140,000 to Mitchell County for people to upgrade their septic systems next year. Let's see here. The permitting process compared to previous years is a lot lengthier, but it's also more effective. I've gotten several compliments from homeowners telling me that the new permitting is just, it looks so much more professional. They love the packets that they get. They love that their permit and their map and extra information regarding the septic systems and how to care for them all comes in a packet, and that they can look at that on their own time. And they like that I'm a lot more educational based when it comes to how to care for your systems and make them last longer, so you don't have to spend the extra money to get, you know, your systems updated. You can make them last 50 years, and that educational thing is really important. So I've gotten a lot of compliments on that. I took on a role this year to inspect septic pumpers and their equipment for this year after a recommendation from Corey Frank at the DNR, which is a huge recommendation coming from him. He's been in the business for, I'd probably say 30 plus years. And he pretty much does the job, like my job, for all 99 counties in the state. So a recommendation from him was, it was kind of shocking, but it was welcomed. So I took on that role. So pretty much what I have to do is I have to go and I have to look at our septic pumpers logs. I have to inspect their vehicles, make sure everything is up to code, everything is, you know, working the way it should, etc. I'm gonna probably do those sometime in the spring because it's cold out right now and I don't want to have to go outside and do that because I'm spoiled. So I'm probably gonna do that next spring. But that roughly brings in, there's actually 2 pumpers. There's one that comes in from Floyd County, so I actually have to inspect them as well. They'll come in and pump, and then we've got one in Mitchell County. But that brings in roughly $1,100 to my department just for taking this role on. It's about a 2-day project, so I think that's worth it in my eyes.
Did you say, is there a fee to the pumper to do this?
So the pumpers, what they do is they pay their annual fee to be able to pump to the DNR.
Okay.
And what I do is I go in, I inspect, and I charge the DNR, and then they pay us.
Okay.
So, because pretty much, if I hadn't taken this role on, the DNR would have to come out and inspect, and they don't want to have to drive all the way from Des Moines to come and inspect. So it's a lot easier for them to just pay us to do it, and it's a lot easier for us to just take the money.
Put your boots and gloves on.
Yeah,
Is there-
pretty much.
Is there any training to do it, or you?
Yeah, so a lot of the training for the inspections actually comes from the trainings that I take during the year.
Okay.
So this last training that I took, when was that, October? They actually did, a whole class on the inspections, and I took that class, so.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and they give you a checklist of things that you need to look over. They give you a checklist on the land application process, all of that. So
Okay.
it's kind of just taking the training, which I have done,
Mhm.
going off of the checklist, and then just, I guess, putting the two together.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, good for you.
yep, so, we'll probably be likely to see that payment from the DNR come in on the next fiscal year budget, just because of the time that I'm going to be doing the inspection, so.
Okay.
Next month, I'm attending the IOWWA annual conference. It's a big conference. It's 2 days. It's down in Des Moines. Takes place on January 11th and 12th. But it'll give me all the CEUs that I need for the year. I'm required to have 12 every single year. It'll get me about 16. So I'll be set for the year. I probably will take more classes just to get more experience that way, but it is a big conference. It's going to be a good one, and I'm pretty excited about it. And then lastly, if you guys want to see this, this was my annual evaluation that we went over at the Board of Health meeting. There's a lot of great reviews on here if you guys want to read it. Not really anything negative, which I was pretty happy about. I was a little nervous with all the changes that I gave to my contractors this year, but if you guys want to read this, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to pass it around, but on your own time if you'd like to.
Can you
Comment.
email it?
I can scan it and email it if you'd like.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I can do that. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'll take those now, I guess, but other than that, that's my update.
Anybody have any questions?
Doing good?
Sounds like you're doing good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11.
You wanna go back those three?
Can we go back to them guys? Sorry.
No, that's fine.
We'll go back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Apologize for the confusion. Now I can put some faces to the guys that I just talked about. Our newest water quality coordinator, affectionately known as our 780 employee, because that's the number of hours the Department of Ag funds. But we're gonna know him as water quality coordinator. And CRP and all those good practices. Mike Webb. Mike comes to us, again, as I say, just recently retired from Saragota County Conservation. So he comes to us with plenty of experience. We're excited to get him on board and really appreciate him being willing to take over and get this position started. So as I say, he'll be able to work about 3 days a week or something like that. So I don't know if you got a couple comments, just to introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, just, like Milt said, retired from Saragota County Conservation and kind of looking for something to do and saw the ad for this for a part-time job, so, and I enjoy the conservation, just a new way of applying conservation from a conservation board to, working with landowners and doing on private property. So just a new way to help habitat and improve soil and water conditions, so.
We look forward to welcoming him on board. Devin Storch, I talked about also. Devin is our newest Rock Creek Watershed Coordinator. He comes to us with a lot of experience also. So I'll let Devin give you a quick review of what's been going on in Rock Creek and talk a little bit about what's coming up for this next year we anticipate.
Yeah, got some handouts for you guys here so you can kind of take what I'm saying and look at it here. They are. So yeah, like Milt said, I'm Devin Stortz. I'm the new Rock Creek Watershed Project Coordinator. I'm originally from Decorah, Iowa, so not too far away, where I spent the last couple of years working with the DNR out of college until I took this position here. So a little bit of quick background with our water sampling efforts here in Mitchell County. It started in 2006. We had funding in partnership with the DNR, and then kind of those funds ran dry. And Milt took it upon himself to acquire grants and money to continue our water sampling efforts throughout Mitchell County. And how we do that is our sampling season is typically from April to October, kind of the more times of the year where there's a little bit more agriculture going on, a little bit more rainfall events and things like that. And we take it, so 7 times a year, we collect samples through April through October. We collect on the 3rd week of each month. And we're currently sampling about 23 sites across the county. And those sites cover the 3 major watersheds we have here, the Upper Cedar watershed, the Little Cedar watershed, and Rock Creek. But I also added a list on here, and that's a list of all of the streams and rivers that we take samples from. And so you can see that those rivers and streams encompass the entire county, not just in Rock Creek. So we're taking samples, a consensus sample of the county. And those sample locations range from areas, whether it be below a tile output and above a tile output, or above and below where a field drainage ditch comes and dumps into the stream, and things like that. And we are looking every year, Milt and I, we just got finished up, we were taking a look at some areas that maybe we're not getting a good read, a good accurate read from the area because maybe the watershed's too small, and we don't have enough water flow for those 7 months of the year to even collect samples all the time. So we did end up making some changes this year. So we're gonna move it down from 23 sites to 21 sites along those rivers, with a couple new locations I think were interesting to add in on Burroke Creek. The DNR had documented brown trout reproduction in Burroke years ago, but had discontinued monitoring again due to lack of funds. And so we have currently been monitoring the Burroke Creek, but we want to add in another site upstream to kind of monitor the site that we have downstream and compare those sites. So I think that would be a good addition to monitoring that stream, and especially with documented brown trout reproduction, that's a really cool thing. So if we can get trout running in our cold water streams here, that's the benefit for the entire county. It'll bring, fishing and lots of different recreational opportunities. So we also are adding in some 3 bioreactor sites. So bioreactors are a practice that are becoming more popular with the USDA and the NRCS. It's an edge of field practice where basically a pit is dug to intercept a tile outlet, and in that pit is filled with wood chips, low tannin wood species, and then we drain the tile into this pit of wood chips, and it's to decompose the nitrates, break down the nitrate levels, and then eventually kick out clean water on the other side into whether it be a nearby stream or ditch. And so we have about 8 of those installed here in Mitchell County. One of them has currently been monitored. We're looking to add 3 new additional bioreactor sites to monitor for nitrate levels coming into the bioreactor and then coming out, just in order to measure and gauge their effectiveness. And we're actually partnering through the Iowa Soybean Association for that, which is a pretty good deal we've worked out over just the past couple of days. They're gonna send us the bottles that we need to fill up from these bioreactors that are originally their practices that they installed. And then we send our samples to them, and at the end of each sampling year, they'll produce a report for each producer that had their bioreactor sampled. And so that's just kind of an extra benefit for the producers who are participating in allowing their bioreactor to be sampled for 7 months out of the year. So getting down to the costs, we did see a little bit of inflation with our shipping costs and our lab analysis costs this year. Last year we had requested $8,200 from the board, and this year we're increasing that to $9,000 we need in order to cover our shipping costs and our lab analysis costs, and then the addition of a couple bioreactors sampled in the county. But we're seeing good things. I think we're seeing really good things across the county. I think Mitchell County is one of the leaders in cover crop and no-till adoption. And those are 2 practices that are gauged by our water sampling efforts. As those practices continue to increase, they're built around improving water quality, improving soil quality, which in turn improves our water quality. So with those practices increasing, as we keep up our water sampling and water monitoring, I intend that we'll be able to see some trends over and throughout the future of our water getting better as these conservation practices continue to be implemented and adopted throughout the county. And so water sampling is a big part of monitoring and engaging that level of adoption and how well it's working. So like I said, we're requesting from the board this year $9,000, and that's due to our increase in shipping and lab analysis costs, and then in some additional sampling locations with these bioreactors. And so we just hope for the continued support to monitor the water levels and the water quality in Mitchell County. And this is a good way of doing it, and we hope that we can continue to receive that. I also wanted to add in a tidbit. I know James had mentioned at our last commissioner meeting last week, I added in a little bit about soil health testing, which is just as important as water sampling too. So we're testing our water quality for nitrates and phosphates and bacteria that comes off of our farm fields. And so taking a step back, soil testing our farm fields, testing our soil, see what kind of nutrients we have in that soil, how much we need to apply, and things like that. That's an important step too. And I was able to learn about a little bit new of a soil health test. It's becoming popular across the Midwest. It's just a different approach to soil health testing. A conventional soil health test, and I call that conventional just as that's what's kind of been done forever, is you take a 0 to 6 inch soil core and you analyze that soil core for levels of nitrates and phosphates and carbon and organic matter. And basically it'll tell you you have X amount of pounds of nitrates, X amount of pounds of phosphates. You need to apply, let's say 60 pounds of fertilizer an acre this year in order to get your 200 bushel an acre corn. Well, this new soil health test is taking a different approach by taking that 0 to 6 inch soil core and then taking 12-inch soil core deeper down and looking at all of the available nutrients to that microbial community in the soil. And the microbial community is essential to soil health. Without it, you don't have a healthy soil. And so this is taking a look at the biomass of your microbial community and the nutrients they have available to grow and to prosper and to continue creating and storing nitrogen in your soil. And by taking a look at that extra 6 inches in the soil, farmers are finding out that they have thousands of pounds of nitrates and phosphates deeper down. And how do we access those is through cover crops. Cover crops allowing those roots to pull those nutrients into access, and allowing that continued over time, feeding our microorganisms, our microbial communities, and allowing them to grow. And all that's done through cover crops and no-till, which is a practice that we're preaching for water quality. So it all ties together, and there's two important messages there with water sampling and soil health sampling. So
what do farmers have to do different as far as to do that other soil test? I mean, is there?
Yeah, I mean, it's called the Haney Soil Health Test. It was developed by Rick Haney. He was a longtime farmer before he decided to hang it up and go to soil science school. And he kind of developed this test and realized, let's take a look at our microbial communities rather than how much phosphate and nitrogen we need to apply. Let's look at what these guys need that create that stuff naturally and biologically in our soil. So all they really have to do is I'm trying to think of, I can't remember the name of the soil testing lab nearby here, Midwest Ag or something like that maybe, but I know they do the Haney Soil Health Test, so it'd be just talking with your agronomist about it. I think could probably be the first step. Or through the Rock Creek watershed, we actually have some cost share dollars available for soil testing and stuff like that too. So there are options out there. I'd recommend getting a hold of your agronomist or calling someone down at the NRCS or the Soil and Water District. So
Get a hold of you or Mike also, and you guys could kind of
Right.
refer them to.
yeah, absolutely, we can do that too.
Is this a practice that agronomists are gonna start taking up, I mean, like.
I think,
Plan too, and I think they all do the 6 inch test from what I know.
right, and
They've
so.
never mentioned it, but I would need to mention it to them and.
Yeah, I mean, I would mention the Haney Soil Health Test, and I imagine that they would know what it is. I know it's fairly new, and I learned a lot of this stuff from being at the 2022 big soil health event conference in Cedar Falls a couple weeks back. And basically there's about 700 farmers in attendance from across the Midwest, and every speaker was a farmer or producer, and they just told their story about how they had went from conventional farming to cover crop and no-till, and then doing this Haney soil health test. And the Haney soil health test will also give you feedback on different cover crop mixtures to use to access whether you need more phosphates or more nitrates, and things like that. So it's a really in-depth look at, if you want to get into regenerative farming, I think that'd be a really great first step to seeing what you got first, so.
Is this something like Dave Chambers at the Osage Elevator would be interested in learning, or would he know this already? Because he is their fertilizer chemical person, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. I can't speak for him. I don't know or not, but, I know it's a rather new soil health test. And it's different from a lot of America is still farming conventionally, using, tillage and applied fertilizer and herbicide. And so this is approach, for those farmers that are looking to get into more of a regenerative approach to farming, using cover crops and no-till and things like that, which is a really helpful tool for seeing what's below that 6 inches. The 6 inches is kind of your root available zone, but below that, what's down there and how do we get to it? So,
Is that something you would do, like to get in touch with the local elevators and talk with these people?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm looking, after learning more and more about this, it's definitely something that I want to get the word out there more. I'm working on putting together a newsletter here to send out first of the year in January, where there's going to be a page on that, on the soil health testing and the Haney soil health testing that we're going to get out to the county. So I think that'll be good too.
That was gonna be on the Soil Water Conservation District's website?
Yep, it's also going to be on the website too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's all I've got for you guys today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us look back in there, appreciate
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Thank you.
So you are requesting, you're thinking of a request of $9,000 for water sampling then?
Right, yep.
And last year, what'd you say it was?
Last year was 8,200.
8,200. So just an $800 increase over last year.
So
Like everything else is going up.
Right.
I would move to support their $9,000 request.
Steve's made a motion to approve their $9,000 request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jim will second it. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Mark?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you.
We'll get that resolved before you leave.
What's that?
We just will get that resolved before you leave.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Okay, now we're back to Board of Health update. Sorry, girls.
That's okay, no problem. Okay. Good morning.
Mark.
I am here just to give an update, public health update of what's been going on since we were last here with you guys. For you guys in the crowd that don't know me, I'm Jessica Kettleson with Mitchell County Public Health and the Public Health Coordinator for our county. So I'm just gonna give you some updates, some immunization numbers and what we've seen. So for the flu, we gave about the October timeframe, we gave about 1,500 flu shots, 1,467 to be exact. We held 42 flu clinics in Mitchell County, and that's from the schools to various businesses, drive-throughs. We were out and about giving those flu shots. The plan for next year has already started. I have ordered actually 2,800 doses for next year's flu season. So that has been ordered on reserve, so we get those flu vaccines in time for us to start. COVID-19 new bivalent vaccine is out. Since the start of that, we started in October giving that, and we've given 819 roughly COVID vaccines to those that are eligible. Immunization audits, we completed the immunization audits in the schools and registered daycares throughout our county determined compliance. This is required via Iowa Code Section 139A.8. I furnished a copy to the schools, daycares, just so they see the results, and it has been submitted to the state. So I go to every daycare and every school, including Mennonite Amish schools in our county, and go through their immunization records because it is required that they have an immunization record on hand, and that they meet certain requirements. They have certain immunizations to be in school per the Iowa code. So for the daycare audit, I'm just going to give you guys, for all of Mitchell County, all 3 daycares, there was an 85.39% of immunizations on hand, and 14.6% there was invalid certificates or no certificates. So I just follow up with them, give them the guidance of what they need to do going forward, and hopefully they fix that. I don't go back in and re-audit them or anything like that. So, but they are aware of what is missing. For the schools in Mitchell County, we are at 93.46% of immunizations on hand and 6.54% invalid certificates or no certificates, which is really good. You know, I have the Amish schools, which I don't see that it's pretty low enrollment, but there's really no certificates in there. So just educating, that's the importance of us getting out in those communities and educating them on the importance of vaccines, just because we see other things that happen, illnesses and those types of things that affect their communities as well too. So continue to try and educate all families on that, and just to help with those illnesses throughout our county. An epi update, some things that we've seen in Mitchell County. Since November, we've had 3 CAMP cases, 2 hepatitis B cases, and 41 reported COVID cases. And when I say reported, it's just testing that gets done at the hospital or the clinic. It's not personal people at home testing for it. We do have 1 nursing home currently right now that has an outbreak that I'm working with at this time, an outbreak of COVID. Respiratory surveillances, there is 277 schools throughout Iowa that is reporting to the state of a 10% absence rate, 277 schools. So what they do is if there's kids and it reaches over the 10% threshold, they have to report that to the state. Currently right now in Mitchell County, we do not have any, which I'm thankful for that. So if we do get one in Mitchell County, I follow up with them, we work together just to see what we can do. Don't ever recommend closing the school down, but those types of things, we just work together and collaborate. I have been in touch with the schools, the nurses, and admin staff, and we're seeing a lot of influenza, coughs, fevers throughout those kiddos in our schools here in Mitchell County. So stuff is going around, we're just not at that 10% rate, which is good. RSV numbers, they are starting to trickle downward in Mitchell County. Unfortunately, we've seen an increase of 17% of a positive rate of influenza within the last week. So influenza is going around here in Mitchell County. Good thing on that note is the flu vaccine has the H3 strain in it, and that is what is circulating around right now too. So the strain has been covered in that flu vaccine, which is a good note for us too. A few things on our grants. I do have 4 grants that cover public health. A couple of updates on a few of them. The immunization grant, we were awarded about another 15,000 funds for this fiscal year to add on to it, just so we can purchase some things for our immunizations, an ultra cold freezer, which Pfizer vaccines are stored in that, some other coolers that we need, and then our monitoring devices for those freezers and fridges too, which is huge. And then our IT grant that we've had around since last, probably March. It was supposed to end December 31st. We have about $15,000 left in that grant, and it got extended to go through June. So we have till June to use those funds, which is huge as well too. So as far as updates, that's the pertinent stuff. Do you guys have any questions or concerns for myself?
They have a higher dose flu shot?
They do, yep. So there is a higher.
We don't offer that?
Mitchell, no, public health does not offer that, no.
Is there a reason why?
So it's hard to get on our GSK, who we get our flu vaccine through. They don't offer that to us. So it's hard for us to get that through a different vendor. And I think the hospital has it. They don't get quite a few numbers with it, but I believe they do have that and carry that too. So if anyone's interested in it, we do refer them to the hospital to get that as well too. Yep, good question.
Okay, the one discussion we had at the meeting, did you ever get in touch with sheriff or the county attorney?
Yep, yeah, Laura did get in touch with them, so
Yep,
she'll
I'll
be
talk
able to
about
get that update as well
Yep.
too. So yep.
That's good.
Any other questions?
I think I'm right at the moment.
And if you guys think of anything, just, you guys know how to get a hold of me, so.
So I'll give a little update kind of about our general business operations. For those who don't know me, I'm Laura Human, I'm the administrator with Mitchell County Home Health and Public Health. I do have some handouts for the board. So I'm handing out our annual report at our last meeting, not last week's, but the one before that.
Pass mine out with, pass that out with the public in case they want to look at it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So included in that packet is our annual report. So we have to do an annual report every year. So for fiscal year 22, it just has, goes over everything that we've done in the last year as far as how many home visits we've done, therapy, aid visits. It also goes over all of our expenses on the home health side and public health side, as long, also with our revenues, how much county money we've used. Referrals. It's just a lot of great information. This is something I have available to the public if anybody would want a copy of it. So it's just a lot of great information. I will have Paul upload it onto our onto the website as well. Has all some COVID numbers in there as far as the testing and the COVID vaccinations, and our staff and our Board of Health. So if you guys, after looking over that, you have any questions, feel free to give me a call about that. Our expenses and our revenues, kind of went over that with the board last Friday. Things are looking pretty good. Last month in November, our expenses were about $91,000, but our revenues, we brought in about $108,000. So our revenues was a little bit more in December than our expenses were, so we always like to see that. I know we've kind of talked about it before, that we've gotten, brought in some money. I think last year, I think Jolene mentioned it at the one meeting, that we brought in over $100,000 from administrating COVID vaccines that we're billing to Medicare. So last year we brought in over $100,000. This year we're up to about $20,000 and still have a lot more to bill. Brought in about $37,000 from giving flu shots and still have a lot to bill as well. So we do bring a lot of money in there. Sent off our Medicare and Medicaid cost report last month. It did come back. It's got our costs for all of our visits. I think I have a copy in your guys' packets that I handed you today. I like to see a downtrend since probably FY18. Our cost for all of our visits have gone down. I believe that our staff is working more effective, efficient, could be part of our electronic health system just being a better one as well. Our costs are way down considering 4 or 5 years ago, it was probably more than our charges were. So it's good to see that. It's exactly what we want to see. So we do have a nurse retiring at the end of January. So I'm currently looking for a full-time or even part-time nurse, registered nurse to do home health visits. Also looking for an aide, a PRN aide to help out when we're in need for vacation times or when people are sick. So just kind of putting the word out there because I haven't gotten any applications for the nurse that's retiring at the end of January. So that's coming up. So we may be short-staffed here in about a month and might be seeing some overtime to make sure our visits are getting covered if I don't get anybody hired. And the home health side of things, as far as visits, I think the last time I was here was the beginning of October. Since I've been here, we've done about 37 admissions. And I think we have about 5 or 6 referrals just this week. So I think the home health side is definitely kicking up a little bit, which is good to see. I did talk at the board meeting on last week. Safety has been a concern for our staff going into the homes. It's more, we deal with a lot more mental health than we had before, and it's increasing. It's going to just keep increasing. And so there's a lot of uncertainty going into some of these homes. Sometimes we send in 2 staff members or send an aide and nurse in at the same time, just because we don't know what's going to happen. So I did reach out to Aaron Murphy and Greg Beaver yesterday and talked about what we can do to defend ourselves. So I will be working with Greg Beaver on helping us do something to protect our staff. So I think that's very important.
You might want to indicate a couple of the incidents you had for the public.
Yeah, we've seen some aggression, which we have a lot in the past. But there was one that we had no idea was aggressive, but then went to the hospital and tried to stab a nurse with a pencil. And that could easily be happening in the home. We've had knives drawn out at our staff. So it's definitely something we need to take protection on for our staff going into the homes. Because we want to still take care of them, but also take care of our staff too.
You just turn around and leave instantly when something like that happens?
We have, and like I said, we try to, we have had to discharge patients because of the safety issue. We also have in the past had to call the police department or the sheriff's office and just go at the same time if we felt it was going to be an uneasy situation, which they've always been very great about coming when we need them. So, but yeah, we try to think before it happens, but you never know, especially if they're not taking their medications and.
Yeah, that's not a good deal.
Yeah, employee safety is pretty important.
Yes, so, yeah, I'll be reaching out to Greg again to set something up, so.
Well, sometimes dementia plays into that too, don't it?
It could, yeah, a lot of different things can, yeah. Do you want to add
Yeah,
something?
so our board did approve in November to do drug screening on our staff that get hired. So we will be implementing that. I am kind of working on that in the background. So right now we can send them to the clinic and pay about $50 per employee to get drug screened upon employment. So I always look for different avenues to try and make it more cost effective for the county, and hopefully implementing some more money for us too. So I've looked into some different routes that we can go, and I can do drug testing internally for about $10 an individual. Something that I want to offer is to businesses. You know, I don't want to do DOT physicals or anything like that, but there's lots of businesses in our area that do the pre-employment drug screening as well too. So getting those individuals involved, and hopefully that can bring some more people in, and we can do the drug screening right out of our building and help serve the county that way too. So something we're working on. It's going to take some policies to get in place, those types of things. But just so you guys know, I did ask Steve if there's any other departments that do drug screening before employment. I didn't know if it was a county-wide policy. He didn't think that there was besides the roads and sheriff's office maybe. So I don't want to get the DOT stuff, but definitely just the drug screening, and go from there as well too.
Conservation does, or?
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I can call around, and then I'll be in touch with businesses too. It'll take me a couple months to get the process in place and get policies in place, but just something to look forward to what we're gonna see probably in the next couple of months too.
Could also be for an employer that wants to do a spots screen, you know.
Yep. And that's something we had passed, I believe I shared it last time I was here, that our agency will start doing pre-employment testing, which is what started looking into it more to do more, so.
There's too much involved to do DOT, with, all the legalities with that. The tape and the washing hands and taping up. There's too much involved with that.
Yes, so that's kind of our future for that, just so you guys are aware of that, if you hear anything more too, so.
So the other thing we went over at the board was, I just kind of went over our FY24 budget. They did approve that, and I emailed it to Rachel yesterday. I also included in an amendment, so you guys will see that when Rachel does the amendment for the coming up. All I did, just to explain it now, if you see it coming up, because of the IT grant that we received, I'm just going to be adding $20,000 on the expense side and the revenue side on the line item. It's just, they're going to kind of cancel each other out, but I need to amend that, getting reimbursed from that grant. So nothing major there. I also had my annual eval, like Amanda. Everything looked good. You guys are more than welcome to see my evaluation come through. I can email it or give it to you, or if you have any questions on that. I've been here for 17 years, but the administrator since 2019, so about 3.5 years. The last thing I have is the bylaws. I did talk about that last time I was here. The changes were officially changed and approved by the board. I'll kind of go over the things that were changed. So the sanitation, it says sanitation department in here. We thought the more proper wording would be environmental health. I think that makes that department sound a little bit better than sanitation. So that'd be a more proper vocabulary for that. So then the other thing was we took out the finance and advisory committee because they're no longer required by the state. So we took that out. And we added chapter 69 under the private sewage disposal and private water needs, number 14, under functions of the board. We also added under the membership, we had changed it to 7 persons, which I know you guys still need to vote on that, but that is what the Board of Health had changed it to. And it also changed, I had it have the verbiage of what is now required instead of it just being a licensed physician. It also is a physician assistant, advanced registered nurse practitioner, advanced practice registered nurse also. That can be on our board. Also changed the part that we will meet 6 times a year instead of quarterly because 6 times a year is the minimal requirement. I believe that was the only, yes, and then we changed the quorum part. It used to be 3 members because of the 5 board, but if it goes up to 7, then a quorum would be at 4 members. So I thought I would pass that out to you. This is not something the Board of Supervisors needs to approve, but I wanted to share it with you guys so you had it. I also did give one to Rachel as well. I also included in here our resource book. This is something we've been creating for years, I think long before I even started here 17 years ago. But of course, we update it often with different numbers. It's got a lot of great information. I just wanted to share it with you guys. I don't know if you guys had one. The public is welcome to, we kind of hand this out at a lot of different events that we do. If you ever see anything in here that needs to be updated, please let us know because the next time we print them, do a mass printing, we can get that updated. So I know a lot of things change frequently. So do you guys have any questions for me?
A lot.
We did. I did want to bring up, Aaron Murphy did email last week about the members. Aaron, I don't know if you want to discuss that or how.
I mean, I can, unless people have.
It's probably going to change some things,
People
so.
have questions or, I mean, I don't know how you guys want me to proceed. It's your meeting.
Want to just touch on it, paraphrase it a little bit? Or?
Yeah. Okay, so. Situation, as I see it, is this, so, earlier this month, late last month, I don't remember, I answered questions, about the Board of Health membership. I wasn't really involved in any internal discussions or anything like that. I answered general questions that occurred to me. Then afterwards, I think I was probably talking with Mark Walk, and anyway, he said, hey, are those vacancies, are they expired? And I said, well, I assume that they are, or we wouldn't be talking about it. He said, I don't know. He said, maybe you gotta check. So I checked, and it's like, sure enough, I guess I understand that they don't expire until the end of this year, which I think is probably typical true for most boards of health, but you get different boards and some expire at different times. And so then I thought, well, okay. So the issue is, can a board, any board, appoint somebody early, right? And my inclination was, I don't think so. But I did some checking with the Attorney General's office, and I said, I have a question, and there is, as far as I can tell, there's not any, and that's the thing with the law. Sometimes there's no direct thing. Sometimes there's no direct statute. Sometimes there's no direct case law. Sometimes you're just trying to weave things together and come up with it. Anyway, the Attorney General's office said, yeah, you can't appoint board or jury. Otherwise, if you did that, the Board of Supervisors could appoint somebody to fill the spots for the next 30 years, whenever it came up, right? So it's like, I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense to me. The net effect is, any appointments made to the Board of Health prior to a term expiring really don't mean anything. You can't appoint those until those vacancies occur. And my understanding is they don't occur until December 31st. I assume it's 11:59 seconds, how that works on December 31st. The vacancy is created, I suppose, when the clock strikes midnight on January 1st. That's when it can be filled. And so the Board of Supervisors at that time fills those spots. Now, the question also that I was asked is, okay, so does the Board of Health, if they want to go from 5 to 7 members, do they need the Board of Supervisors approval to do it? I said the answer is yes. I thought there was some, not locally, but some others that said, that's not right, that's not right. And I got probably a little rude at one point and said, stop. This is just the way it is. I did check again with the Attorney General's office, because I have people down there I talk to all the time. And I said, I assume I'm correct here, because if I'm not, I'm going to look like a moron. But I'm assuming I'm correct that Board of Supervisors has to approve going from 5 to 7, because it doesn't specifically say it anywhere, but the law would make absolutely no sense the way it's written if they didn't have to. And they said, yeah, you're right. Board of Supervisors has to approve going from 5 to 7. Now, I recognize some counties have done that and they haven't followed that process. And I suppose as long as it works out for them and nobody complains, they're probably okay, right? I mean, but if anybody ever complains, it's probably not valid, right? And that's another thing. You can get away with a lot as long as nobody complains. I mean, I can probably go commit a crime somewhere and be just fine unless somebody complains. And so I don't think I would follow those other counties' process. The hell county is it? I mean, there's different ones. So I think like Clark County last year, is that Osceola? I think there's Osceola County, then there's Osceola town. I think Osceola's in Clark County. Anyway, they did go, I think, from 5 to 7, but they did the process that I said to use, and that is, go ahead, pass it with you guys at the Board of Health that this is what you want to do, but then go to the Board of Supervisors and ask for their approval to go from 5 to 7 members. I mean, that's just, and I'm not saying anything here out of favor of one side or the other. I mean, I don't make policy. I'm just laying out the, kind of the referee saying these are the rules of the game. So another question somebody asked me is okay, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody here, but I know, for example, there was a question that I had that said, well, wait, if you've said, Murphy, we don't need the Board of Supervisors to necessarily approve our bylaws. That's correct. Or if our bylaws say that we want to go from 5 to 7, doesn't that make it so? I said, it doesn't make it so. It's no different than if, I mean, all of you people here could vote me in as President of the United States, and that'd be just great. I'd accept it, but it's not binding anywhere else, right? So, and it also takes me back a few years ago. I was dealing with an attorney, strange situation that come up with this idea that he represented some cities that he thought he and the council and the mayor, it wasn't anywhere around here, he thought they were going to write a city code that could somehow kind of circumvent some of the Fourth Amendment protections of the U.S. Constitution. And I said, it doesn't really work that way, right? I mean, well, if we put it in our policy, doesn't it count? counts until somebody complains, I guess, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can put anything in a policy, that doesn't mean it works. So that's why I said, and sometimes these issues can get very, very confusing. So, you know, to amend the bylaws, don't need board of supervisor approval. Unless somebody tries to amend something that's the board of supervisor's authority, right? Again, you guys could pass a resolution that said, you know, county attorney cannot prosecute any felonies. Well, that's fine and dandy, but you couldn't do it. So, you know, the same is true with Board of Health. They can pass their bylaws, but they still have to be legal and within their authority. They can't go outside their authority. So the short answer is going 5 to 7. Board of Supervisors has to approve. And then the vacancies don't exist until they exist, so they can't be filled until then. So I can't speak for what y'all want to do, but a way forward, if you wanted to do it this way, would be, for example, to say today, it's on the agenda, going from 5 to 7, a possible action, I think. I think so. That's discussing a possible action on Board of Health going to 7 members. Okay. So yeah, if somebody was inclined today, somebody could make a motion to approve Board of Health going from 5 to 7 members. That could pass, be done. You might just say it's effective, you know, January 1st, immediately, you know, midnight, January 1st. But as I said, you can't fill anything today. I mean, in a technical sense, you could go from 5 to 7 today. You could fill the 2 new spots, but that would expire and you'd have to do it again anyway. So I think probably if everybody's on board, what you could do is say, okay, we're gonna approve going from 5 to 7, effective the first of the year. And then the first of the year comes, the Board of Supervisors at that time fills the appointments.
So what happens with the appointments that they've done? Will they have to rescind those or?
I don't think you have to do anything.
Okay.
Because they were never gonna be effective until the current terms expired, right? So I don't know what everybody wants to do, but I do know this, and I put this in my email. I wasn't trying to nitpick anybody, but I have a lot to do the next couple of weeks. Getting ready for a jury trial at the first of the year, big one. And I've spent the better part of probably the last 10 days dealing with this issue and with a lot of people, and which I'm happy to do. But I get the sense people want resolution to this issue. And I think people can respect disagreements, because that's what government is. That's what local government, that's what all government is, right? Is just disagreements, policy differences. At some point, you gotta look and say, when did we get to that point where we gotta kind of come together and do something? And I think we're probably at that point, in my opinion. That's what I'm hearing anyway. So if everybody wanted to, I'm not telling you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. But you, like I said, you could go from 5 to 7 today, fill 4 spots first of the year, like the organizational meeting for the Board of Supervisors. The 2 appointments that were made could simply be remade if that's the inclination. I mean, I can't tell you what to do. Then there's gonna be 2 other spots. I haven't heard any names floated for that, and that's none of my business. But that's how I see it.
Would it be possible to say, I mean, it's on here, they've already had action on the other 2, and they aren't effective till January 1st. But if they made the motion to appoint the 2 that, you know, and say effective January 1st.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can do it.
Why can't you, when there's an election, people are elected in November, they don't take over till the first of the year.
Let's not turn this into a public forum.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you, okay?
Let's move on.
Yeah,
You
let's
can
not
shake
turn
your
this into a
head
public
at me all you
forum.
want. I'm telling you what the law is. Whether y'all wanna believe it, it's not really up to me.
Move on to
I'm telling you the way it is. So if you want to argue with me, we can do it, but my way of arguing is not always the way other people like. And I gotta be perfectly honest with you, some members of my family found that out the last week. And so it's just the way it is.
Well,
You can't make an appointment early. You can't do it.
Okay, yep.
You can't do it because otherwise the board of supervisors could say, you know what? We're gonna make appointments for the next 50 years. We're just gonna make them effective in, January 1st of 2030 and then January 1st of 2050. And, you could do that infinitely and it just doesn't work that way. And it's not the same as an election. It's not the same.
Okay, I think we got the picture now. I think we want to do the right thing and we'll just move on. Thanks for your professional information. Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to item 12, discussion and action on Board of Health going to 7 members and appointments. So we need a motion and a.
Did we receive
second.
anything?
Yes, I have, you're gonna listen to me talk for a little while, okay? Received a lot of comments, so I'll just read all those that I got.
Do we need to do that?
So I am in support of the recommendation to approve a 7-member public health board and appointing Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. Thank you both for leading this critical need. Nancy Woods. I am emailing you. I could not attend the Board of Supervisors meeting this morning to support the Mitchell County Board of Health. I am in full support of a 7-member Board of Health and feel it would be a huge benefit to the county to appoint Sam Offen and Brenda Wagner to the board. Thanks for your time. Merry Christmas, Kyle Pop. I want to express my support for the recommendation for the 7-member Public Health Board and appointing Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. The MCPH was extremely instrumental for our business during the COVID-19 pandemic and even through today. I still reach out to them for recommendations and advice for your employee health situations. We would have been absolutely lost without them. They were knowledgeable and quick to answer all of our questions at all hours of the day and night. They are doing an exceptional job. Thanks, Sarah Frine. I am unable to attend tomorrow's Board of Supervisors meeting, but I want it to be known that I support the recommendation to approve a 7-member Public Health Board and appointing Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. Scott Neerland. We support the 7-member Public Health Board and appoint Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller, Scott Schrag and Melody Schrag. I, Kurt Pop, support 7 members to sit on the Mitchell County Board of Health and appointment of Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller to the Mitchell County Board of Health. Heartland Power is in support of 7 members to sit on the Mitchell County Board of Health and the appointment of Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller to the Mitchell County Board of Health. The Board of Health did a fabulous job leading through the pandemic and we are grateful. Nothing but praise on what they've done over the last couple of years. Please support all 7 members on the Mitchell County Board of Health. Thank you, John Lear. Rachel, I support a 7-member Mitchell County Board of Health and appointing Sandy Offen and Brenda Wagner to serve on that board. Ivan Boland. I'm unable to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow, but would like to weigh in on an issue as a Mitchell County resident. I would like to state my support of the recommendation to approve a 7-member Public Health Board and the appointment of Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. Thank you, Drew Clevenger. I'm unable to attend the supervisor meeting tomorrow, but I want to express my support and Keith Heimer's support to increase the Mitchell County Board of Health volunteer board to a 7-member board. We also want to express our support to appoint Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller to the Mitchell County Board of Health. Lastly, we want to take this time to thank all the individuals that serve Mitchell County, providing the community with essential health care needs. This thank you needs to be extended to all the staff, administrators, and volunteers of the Mitchell County Public Health System. Please share this email with the county supervisors that represent the voters of Mitchell County. Thank you, Lisa Heimer. I would strongly encourage the Mitchell County supervisors vote yes to the 7 board members and to reappoint the 2 previous Board of Health members. I think it is great that people want to be a part of the board on the home health in Mitchell County. From Dorsey 113. I am supportive of Mitchell County Public Health and thankful for their hard work and ability to navigate through the last couple of years. I am supportive of moving the Mitchell County Board of Health to 7 members and keeping Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller on the board. I believe their leadership assisted MCPH with the navigation of the pandemic. It would be a shame to lose their leadership now. Melissa Edgington. I'd like to express my support of the recommendation to approve a 7-member Public Health Board, as well as supporting Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. Sam Edgington. As a taxpaying citizen living in Mitchell County, I support having a 7-member Board of Public Health in Mitchell County. You currently have 5 people that donate many hours, and having 2 more qualified individuals that are willing to join this group is a big plus. I truly suggest that you leave the current members on the board and add the 2 that have offered to be on the board. Our population is aging and the home health team that we currently have do great things. Having a good board is essential to the success that they have had. Again, I support a 7-member board by keeping the members that are currently serving and adding Sandy Austin and Brenda Miller. Volunteers want to help or they would not volunteer. Thanks, Ronnie Pitson. This letter in support of the Mitchell County Public Health and their advisory board. The school district worked very closely with MCPH during the pandemic. We have developed a relationship that was beneficial to our students and families. MCPH has been an advisory partner when dealing with the pandemic and other health concerns. They have performed vaccination clinics for COVID and the flu. MCPH helps educate our students in all grades regarding matters of personal and community health. They perform screenings and help our students who need to have their vaccinations up to date. The advisory board performs an important function for MCPH. It has been my experience that the more people you have on the advisory board, the better information and perspectives you will receive. I am in support of increasing the number of members in the MCPH advisory board. If you have any other questions, Michael Crozier. I'm sending this email in regards to the Public Health Board. I'm in favor of 7-member board and would like to see Brenda Miller and Sandy Austin appointed. Brian Marks. Eric Sparrow here from Milkowski and the Company, a proud Mitchell County business who understands the need to entrust your best people to make the educated decisions that the leaders will stand behind. It's been brought to my attention that Sandy Austin and Brenda Wagner, 2 individuals that have served Mitchell County well, have been asked to step down at the conclusion of their term to the Mitchell County Public Health Board. These individuals would like to serve again, and I believe they should. It is also my understanding that Jolene Norby so believed that these 2 members should be allowed to stay that she was willing to navigate her team through altering the bylaws to allow 7 to sit on the board. That speaks volumes to the degree that Jolene and her crew believe in these 2 individuals. When those who work shoulder to shoulder think that highly of their partners, I believe we need to pay attention. As an honorable compromise to both sides of the discussion, I fully support 7 members and the appointments of Brenda Offen and Sandy Miller to the Mitchell County Board of Health. Today is a great day to do something truly significant to represent the future of Mitchell County. Janet Sparrow here from City and Skirt. I support a 7-member Mitchell County Board of Health and appointing Sandy Offen and Brenda Wagner to that board. As the director of HR for a company for over 150 employees through COVID, I know that these individuals went through and I believe they deserve a fresh seat after their term has ended if they so desire, and the Mitchell County Board of Health recommends they stay. Thank you, James Sparrow.
Make a motion to go
Thanks.
from a 5 to 7-member board effective January 1st, 2023.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion on this?
Roll call, Todd.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Good. Discussion and possible action on tax abatement orders. Got them 2 in front of us here. Yes?
My 1.5 up. I have to have a little break first.
Okay.
Apologize.
That's fine.
All right, that's fine.
Take the full recess.
3-minute recess.
3-minute recess.
Thank you, guys.
Goes for the last 20 minutes.
All right. Our 3-minute recess is up. Okay, 3 minutes recess is up, so we're gonna resume with.
Can I just add one thing? I don't want to butt in, but, so I was asked, earlier, I think I said it was not necessary to like rescind those prior appointments. I think that's correct. I don't think you need to for legal reasons. However, it was brought up to me and, I mean, actually it was Betty McCarthy, I don't want to single her out, but I mean, because she, I mean.
Well, with the history.
Well, because she said, should those minutes be changed? I'm like, well, probably not a bad idea. I probably wouldn't go back and change prior minutes because those minutes have already been approved, and it did happen, right? At the last meeting, there were appointments, so I probably wouldn't mess with that because then you're changing government stuff, and I wouldn't do that. But it's probably not a bad idea here, somehow to make note, maybe even do a motion and a resolution to say, okay, we recognize that by the law, by Iowa law, those prior appointments aren't invalid, so they're rescinded, something like that, right? The only reason I say that is because I think, you know what Betty was saying, I mean, she was supervisor for what, 25 years? I don't know, I mean, she kind of knows the process, and whether you agree with Betty or not, she sometimes knows what she's talking about. I think it probably is a good idea to have some minutes reflected, because then if you get somebody looking back, you get somebody sometime looking back at the minutes and they're gonna say, oh, that's what happened. And it's probably not a bad idea to just have a correction in the record to say, well, we recognize those are, I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's probably a bit of a technicality, but I think it's probably a good idea.
So do we do it now, or do we do it at?
I think I probably
Can I just note it in
would.
the minutes?
Huh?
Can I just note it in the minutes?
You can't, but you know, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to just do a motion and a resolution saying, okay, we recognize those are rescinded and we'll address it later.
Would it have to be an agenda item for next meeting to do it?
Can we just reappoint him next January?
You know, that's another good question. I think, because we're really not taking any action here. I mean, if it was action that changed something, yes, you'd have to put it on the agenda. But we're not really doing anything that changes anything, because it already is what it is. So when I say we, I mean you, all you're really doing is just saying, just so it can be noted in the minutes, hey, we recognize those appointments were effective, something like that. In fact, you could just do a motion resolution and say, yeah, we agree. Rachel, put that in the minutes at this time. Keep it simple.
The only reason I brought it up is the minutes of the history of the county, of government, you know, that's the only reason I brought
Well,
it up.
I wasn't trying to single you out, Betty, but I just thought, it wasn't you come up with you had a good thought, it wasn't my thought. So I thought, well, I can't stand up here and say, oh, I got this great idea, but it wasn't mine.
So I guess maybe we'll ask for a motion to resend that part.
So moved.
Jim made the motion, Steve seconded. Any other discussion on this?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, now we're up to item 13, discussion and possible action on tax abatement orders. I guess we have two of them here. Number 337 is for $147. Number 338 is $151. They're both on the same property. It's Lonnie Durno, Triangle Court. Triangle Court. It was a trailer house, lot 15 and 360 Osage. It's a 1976 Bentley mobile home. He passed away and his son has junked the mobile home, so I guess they're looking for a tax abatement on these.
Move to approve tax abatement number 337 and number 338.
Okay, Jim's made a motion to a tax abatement on 337 and 338. Do we have a second?
I'll do it if nobody else will.
I guess so. Okay. All right, Jim's made a motion. Steve has seconded it. Is there any other discussion on this item?
Roll call, Todd.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Steve.
All right?
Jim.
Aye.
Okay. Now, item 14, discussion and possible action on substance abuse coalition budget request. So their budget request is for $1,800, the same as last year. Correct? It's one of the boards I'm on, the substance abuse coalition board meeting. So we're looking for a motion and a second to approve their budget for next year. I have one question. You know, since this has to do with substance abuse, whatever, we have the opioid money, you know, to use for items like this. Since we don't have a place for that to go, can we put that towards this?
I'm not sure that would fit in, Mike. I'm gonna have in the January meeting,
Okay,
I discussed it with Christine,
yes,
and that we ought to look at the 5 things that we're supposed to look at to give to you guys.
yes,
And the 5 things that we were looking at the one meeting, and remember Shelley said, well, I agree with those 5. I'm not so sure that that's something that we want to take the money from, but,
well, I mean, we don't have a place for it, that's why.
well,
We'd have to look to see what the parameters are for that opioid money too, to see
Yeah,
if
I mean,
Yeah.
we could do
it's
that.
substance abuse coalition, you know, it has to do with that.
one of these reasons that this has come about, just for the rest of the board, and I don't know if you all got the thing I sent Mike, Jim, and the auditor, but anyway, some time ago, the Mitchell County Public Health at first they were funding the Prime for Life and the different things. And then all at once, that funding could no longer, it wasn't there. So I've been secretary. We've had to find the money ever since to do Prime for Life. And so anyway, I wrote a grant for FEMC, Foundation for Enhancement of Mitchell County, for the entire amount. And they approved it. And then that was when Brenda Dreyer was here. And the next year, I went back and she said, we can't do the grant for this, the same thing again. So she said, I'll tell you, we have discretionary funds. So why don't we do this? Why don't we look at half of the amount? And would you go back and then look at the Board of Supervisors, ask Mitchell County to match the funds? And we would take that out of discretionary funds each year for 3 years. And then after that 3 years was up, it just kept continuing. So that's how it evolved. And that's how we've been paying for it. The Prime for Life is given by, Jay Pedley right now, who at that time, he was an employee of Prairie Ridge, a prevention specialist. He no longer is, but he is trained to do that. In fact, he trains the trainers. So he's doing it in Osage and Riceville. And he charges a little bit less, but St. Ansgar wants the prevention specialist. I don't know what the problem was, but for a few years they quit having it and they didn't want Jay, I guess, I don't know. So somebody from Prairie Ridge has been doing it and they're going back to doing it. So it's been costing us more there because the instructor, which is Mrs. Brum, I think, the class size isn't as big as the Osage Public School, but she's divided it into 3 sections. I mean, it's just the way their classes come up for health. So they have to make more trips. So it costs us more, total at St. Ansgar than it has. So, actually, last year it cost us over $4,000. So that's kind of the history of the whole thing, Mike.
Okay,
And,
yep.
I don't know. We are looking at some of those other things, and there are certain, as Jim said, we've really been looking at the parameters that opioid settlement money,
And I don't have a problem with that, I just don't know that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it would be,
Yeah.
because we got
Well,
a couple
if,
payments
yeah.
now that we don't seem to have a place to put it,
But,
Or maybe a
And-
portion of it, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
yeah,
'Cause it's- Okay, yeah, so anyway,
okay.
discussion possible action on substance abuse coalition budget request of $1,800. I guess I'll make a motion to approve that. If we have a second.
Second.
Okay, Jim seconded that. Is there any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Steve,
All right,
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
you may still well be able to take it out of the opioid.
Well,
And
I guess
if
something
you
to
can,
look
you
into.
can still use it,
yeah, or if there's,
you know, leave it
Okay.
open.
yeah, okay. I think it's a good deal. All right. Okay, now we got item 15, approved HVAC pay request.
So another pay request for the HVAC system, primarily, and this request is for $35,828.17. It's pretty much has to do with labor and excavation of the lines going between the courthouse and the jail, and then placing that fluid cooler that you see sitting out there. There was insulation placed in the trench for the lines and backfilling of the dirt, so that's the majority of this dollar request. I emailed this to you. That's it.
I think it's working up in the attic. I guess I haven't been over there for.
We do this and then I'll give you an update on the project.
I'll move to make a motion to pay the 828.17 for the jail, sheriff's office.
Okay, Todd's made a motion. Do we have a second? Guess I'll second that. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Mike.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so they're not gonna open the attic up this year because he couldn't line up a carpenter and coordinate it with the work. And because winter has settled in, he just doesn't feel it's feasible to do that. So he's gonna change the way he's phasing the project somewhat. There's, I believe there's 4 air handling units that are in the basement. There was going to be an air handling unit that was in the attic. That's the one that's gonna wait. So what he's gonna focus on is replacing those air handling units in the basement one by one. And there will have to be some coordination with the sheriff in regards to moving inmates to different locations when that happens. Let's see, what else did I have? He's still been talking with the he's been trying to talk with the fire marshal in regards to their ceiling cassettes that we're gonna be talked about. And ceiling cassette dumps the conditioned air into the room. And they needed to have smoke dampers on that in order so that we weren't gonna have a fire somewhere and smoke was gonna be dumped into a different room. So they had ideas on how to do that. They changed the fresh air that was gonna go into the ceiling cassette so that it would just be an area where fresh air went in, not at the ceiling cassette. So that one would possibly not have to have a smoke damper. And then also the return airs that go back, well, then that would have to have a smoke damper. He can't get, the fire marshal does not reply to him. And so he can't get any firm answers as far as the ideas that he wants to do to make that happen. But he has a plan. He just needs the fire marshal to say, yep, good to go. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
In regards to sprinkling the attic, he's still in the mindset that that air handling unit that's gonna go up there is not a combustion unit. It's just electrical. He doesn't see any need to sprinkle the attic, but he can't get any answer back from the fire marshal on that either. So we're just kind of in limbo about those things.
I know we're short on fire marshals.
Okay.
3 and 4 districts.
Yeah. I think that's all I had.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they just plan on doing that work between this facility and that facility this winter, and that's where we're at.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Item 16, appoint Osage Township Clerk.
So this is an elected position, and they had her write in, heard nothing. I've tried contacting, and I can't think of her name right now. And she doesn't respond. Todd talked to Joe Malachek, and he'll continue to do it. I also know that you guys still need to find then, Alwood does not want to do the Rock Township clerk, so you have to find someone for that. Yes, Lincoln Meyer was the lady's name.
Okay.
No replies.
Kirsten, yeah. For Joe Malachek.
He agreed to do it? Okay, so we're looking for a motion and a second to approve Joe Malachek for Osage Township Clerk.
I'll move to make that motion.
Okay, Todd made it.
I'll second it.
Okay, Todd's first, Mark is second. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Okay. Item 17, items of note, meetings attended.
I attended the Zoom meeting of the Mitchell Soil Water Conservation District. I'm interested in that, so I attend their meetings to know what's going on. A lot of what the important stuff is what was talked about today, so I'm not gonna repeat it.
Okay. That's it.
I'm good.
Okay, well, I had a Mitchell County Board of Health meeting for Mike, and we talked that all over with, so I won't go, I can't add any more to it. Last night, we had a Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw landfill meeting. Approved the consent agenda, no citizen forum. Did the financial report, everything's doing well. They discussed interest and our CDs and stuff. They had a discussion and decision regarding Christmas. For the employees the last few years, they've been given a $100 MasterCard. That didn't go well with our accountants. Oh well, they'll get over it. It was discussed the employees work together and are good with the public. Christian Fox has, everybody's great to work with. They work good with him anyways. Motions were made to give a $250 card this year for the members of the employees out there. It was approved. And director's report. Last week was the first time since May 9th that the wind disrupted things out there. Other than that, the landfill has stayed open until last week. The wind destroyed the ability for them to dump garbage. They had an issue with the new loader last week. A mattress got inside underneath and it tore up all the hoses. Mark knows what that's like. So things weren't very well. After they got that all put back together, and that was done by Deere, and things didn't work right. Thought maybe a rear end was going on. Well, Christian made a comment, did you put the hoses right? Well, they had to tear the rear end out and haul it down to Waterloo to find out nothing was wrong with it. So when they come back, yeah, I guess maybe this hose went over here. Everything works fine. So the loader was down for a little time there, but anyways. The boiler or the furnace quit working in the building. Well, they checked with the plumber. Plumber says the boiler's shot. Christian says, well, did you check the fuse? No. Well, they put in a new fuse, the boiler worked. So anyways, we didn't have to buy a new boiler. Tonnage last month was 2,295 tons. And the last thing discussed, Christian showed on the computer out there on the screen a new website that he has set up with all kinds of information on the landfill, and it will be updated every month. And it's the first thing they've ever done. I mean, there's nobody else doing it, no other landfills doing it. So we might have something going and we might be setting a precedent, so we'll see how that works out. That's my meetings.
Okay, well, I had a conservation board meeting and I know Mike was here and said some things, but I don't know, they had bids for open timber stand improvements. That's the land out there by the recycling center where they logged last year. Now they got bids to go in and cut down the box elders, the willows, the junk trees to let the good trees go. So they had a bid of that of 2,700 that they accepted, so the company's gonna be doing that. And, you know, they talked about the water trail agreements and camping surveys and possible upgrades if they can do any to their parks next year. And they had a North Iowa long-term disaster recovery meeting in Mitchell County here, January 12th. In this room, there's going to be an open house to kind of explain. This is a group of counties, Floyd or Mitchell, Worth, and Cerro Gordo. It's for, like, if there's a disaster and your insurance, you're out of options and your insurance didn't cover everything, you might be able to come to these for assistance, helping, you know, with things. So this is kind of new. I think it's only been for a year or two.
A couple of years.
It's been a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're having an open house in Mitchell County here. And they're going to have one in Worth February 16th. They had one in Cerro Gordo on November 17th and Floyd on December 8th, I guess. So just to kind of get the word out there that this program is going to be available or is available. Doesn't have a lot in the treasury fund yet. And they needed a new chairman, and guess who got to be that? Me. I don't know how, but luck, I guess, right?
You didn't say no.
Well, maybe you can. Yeah, I don't know. And I had a Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center meeting that conflicted with my public health meeting. Jim didn't want to go to Eldorus, Steve didn't want to go to Eldorus, so. Anyway, their addition, their $7 million addition is 45 days behind schedule already, and the contractor's asking for forgiveness, but it's like $400 a day on a $7 million project. We decided, no, you know, they can pay the penalty, you know, because I don't know, there's a lot of days nobody worked this summer when there was good working conditions, but they had other projects going on that probably had a higher penalty fee. So anyway, they're still having trouble with your people, like people on first degree murder charges, what they got to lose, but getting a fight every day, you know, and they can't lock them up anywhere. But once they have this new section done, then they can isolate them better, because they have one common area now, and you can't lock them out of the common area for only 3 hours, so some federal law. So they're even refusing some kids because they're frequent flyers and they know how it's not a good thing. The last 2 years, the juveniles have went downhill big time, according to there. But we're a member county, so if we have anybody from here, they will take the member county children first. They have to, because we're members, but they're refusing a lot of the Polk County, and some of the other detention centers are full, but you can't get staff when they get beat up every day, you know. I mean, they used to have 1 or 2 fights a week, now they have 4 or 5 a day, you know, so it's a changing world.
What an environment.
Yeah, it is. It's sad, but true, you know. And they needed the addition too for transgenders, because they have nowhere to put them. So anyway, that was my meetings, I guess.
I had nothing last week.
I had nothing last week.
Okay. All right. Anyway, then we got manure management plan updates.
I have 2, Meyer and Monica Heeman, 2761 500th Street, McIntyre, and Pete Tomey, 4202 Hickory Avenue, Eastern.
Okay. Item C, second judicial district.
We're required to file that, and so I forwarded it to you.
Yep, so they filed their annual program report for fiscal year 2022. We'll have that in office.
Just so noted.
Yep.
Okay. And we're item D, public comments. Got a lot of public here.
I do have a couple things to say. First, I want to thank you guys for changing or moving to go to a 7-member board. We have 4 good applicants that have turned it in, and it's good to support that Board of Health and see those 4 members move on. Also, thank you for approving those funds for the Substance Abuse Coalition. I do sit on that board, and that helps us out as well. So thanks, Betty, for doing that footwork. Also want to thank the community for being here and supporting us. And last but not least, our Board of Health. I've been with them for 4 years now, and they have been nothing but supportive, forward-thinking, and definitely with our plans and things that have gone on the last couple of years, always supportive and willing to give a hand and work right along beside us. So I appreciate you guys' vote for those couple things. So thank you, and thank you, everyone.
I think that 7 members is better than 5. You have more ideas, that's a good.
I just wanted to let you guys know that that new agreement had been signed for the land over change for that derelict property that we talked about a month ago.
Okay.
And then also, one of our board terms was up, and so according to our 28E, the Osage Betterment appoints somebody, and then once they appoint somebody, then I'll let Rachel know to put it on the agenda, because then you guys do the final approval, is my understanding.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Okay. All right. Any other public comments? Anybody? Pretty quiet, I guess. We'll move on to get a motion in a second to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Todd's motion. You second it? All in favor? Aye.
This is.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, you bet.
This